I got love for you, man. You know what I'm saying?
What are we talking about? You know, I'm not here to start any trouble.
I'm only going to say nice things about you from now on. I think you're handsome, and I think you're a wonderful host.
I'm fat and I'm overweight.
Just don't say anything silly.
I was waiting for you to say that.
I'm not laughing about it. You think this is funny? I take it serious.
You know, I don't want y'all to take anything out of context that I'm saying.
He's very funny. He likes to joke around a lot.
As a personality and as an entertainer, yes.
This is going to be really quick. I'm not taking any questions.
Go ahead and get comfortable. I'm going to talk for a little bit.
You're listening to Cabbie Presents, the podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Cabbie Richards. As always, thank you, Rod, for that wonderful introduction. On Twitter, you can find me at Cabbie, and on Instagram, it's The Real Cabbie. I just posted some photos from this Nike event I went to in LA, which I will discuss a little bit later on in this podcast. But let's get to the conversation. One of my very good friends and one of the most articulate, handsome, and successful athletes to ever play in the National Hockey League. I've been fortunate to call a friend for a little while, and he changed my life in Barbados, and he's in studio right now.
If it's going to be an interview, I'm going to conduct it. So I'll answer my own questions, ask myself the questions, then give y'all the answers.
The first time I met this man, I was at the gym in North York, an area in Toronto, Ontario, where my best friend Ari and I used to work out. It was 2004 during the NHL lockout, and Ari told me that he'd seen Kevin Weekes working out there from time to time. I only knew about him, but I never met him. Then one day we gave each other the nod. I saw him at the gym, give that nod. And then the next time we exchanged a few words, like saying what's up, that sort of thing. Nothing too deep. And then I left Sportsnet, which I was working for at the time, and went to The Score in 2005. And later that summer, I was in Barbados getting the full Kevin Weekes experience at his first ever celebrity golf charity tournament. And my world changed. I am pleased to be joined by Kevin Weekes, who could be seen on Hockey Night in Canada on CBC, the NHL Network. Do you still work for MSG sometimes?
No MSG this year.
No MSG this year. And sometimes at Holy Chuck Burger on Yonge Street in Toronto. My dude, welcome to the Cabbie Presents podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for that warm intro. Am I actually allowed to look at you during this?
Of course, yeah. I mean, listen, this is an
do
audio
I have to
medium.
wear gazers like I'm running at Woodbine?
No, man.
Are you sure?
It's an audio medium, so the audience, they won't know where you're looking. On Twitter, you can find him at Kevin Weekes, and his website is Weekes Media. You can see everything he's been up to. He does his videos. He's got I Have No Five-Hole, his clothing brand, and everything else that's remarkable about Kevin Weekes. So the last time I physically saw you was at your summer jam.
No.
Wasn't it?
No. It was at yours.
Oh, yeah, you guys came, you guys came through.
Yours.
Yeah, you guys came through for a nice cameo, which I appreciate it.
And let me tell you something.
What?
Yours was off the chain.
So was yours, dude. Yours is a different level. Because so for the audience, Kevin throws a yearly summer jam at his estate. He doesn't just have a home. He has an estate. Okay? What do you mean, whatever? Like, dude, we had a tent in your backyard. Okay? Or not we. You had a tent in your backyard.
That was to keep people dry. That's all.
Right.
And the forecast is playing,
Okay, but this is how amazing your party is you have like one of the premier burger restaurants in Toronto. They came to your home to cater the party. In the past, you had the wonderful people, Tony, shout out to Tony Bradshaw and the wonderful people at Canyon Creek cater your party. I feel it was just because of who you are, not because you have to pay for the food or anything. But this year was Holy Chuck Burger. Okay, so that summer jam happens every year. And then with my friends, we throw what we call the Fellas X Summer Party. And
why are you trying to undersell your party?
Well,
why are you underselling?
Listen, our party is, we have a good time throwing that party. And it's, this past one was legendary.
Let's cut to the chase, okay? And I got to be careful.
Will you stay closer to the mic, please?
All right. I got to be careful, but...
What do you mean? Okay.
But what was the ratio?
It was a healthy 65-35. women to dudes. Listen, that is what...
Hey, listen. Let me take over.
That's the kind of excellence we strive for.
Hey, if it's a single male anywhere in the GTA or within driving distance or flight distance, you got to be there. You got to be at Cabbie's party.
Well, listen. It's,
Don't say I didn't tell you.
Well, okay, it's not just mine. There are 9 of my homies.
Yeah, I know. It's your team.
Yeah, it's our crew.
It's the crew.
Shout out to the fellas, X, and we try very hard every year to maintain that ratio and do things, that people wouldn't expect at a house party. First of all, it's open bar, like it is at your place.
Very open.
Open bar. You have bartenders. The guys at my part, we are the bartenders, and we have photographers and. We certainly don't have catered food. We have like a candy table, which is
nice.
Which was
nice.
Goes a long
Love
way.
that.
And this year this year we had an ice cream truck show up.
I remember that.
Yeah, well, that was.
That's old school though. I like that. It's keeping it real. Even now you're successful. You know what I mean?
To be honest, I did steal that idea from Tim McCallum.
Really?
Yeah, I stole it from Tim. And Tim came to the party, and he's like, "Oh, I've seen this somewhere before."
That's great.
Yeah, I stole that idea. But it was a huge thing. So anyway, okay. So the last time I guess I got to speak with you, because you showed up to the party, which I appreciate, and there was like a whole squad of hockey dudes where you're just holding court, because but you don't hold court like Michael Pinball Clemens,
no.
where you're giving like 2-hour sermons.
No.
Hey Mike, how are you today? And then 92 minutes later, my guy wraps up. You hold court in a different way. Like it's you're always like dropping knowledge, and it's always and I wish I could you guys could see how my feeble impression of Kevin is, but it's like you're dropping knowledge, and it's like secretive almost.
Yeah, I try to keep it stealthy. Subtle and stealthy.
You really do. So Holy Chuck Burger.
Yeah.
Is that your favorite burger spot in the city, or in your top 3 or 5?
Wow, man. Let me just give a shout out, since we're in Scarborough. Let me give a shout out to Johnny's.
We mentioned Johnny's recently on the podcast, and I messed it up. What's the actual intersection?
It's Victoria Park and Shepherd.
See, I think I said Markham and Lawrence like an idiot. Sorry, this is for people outside of Toronto. We won't make this too long of a thing, because I know that you don't have any points of reference, because there are some American homies that listen to this podcast.
Yeah, we go international.
We do. Well, yeah.
But honestly, Victoria Park and Shepherd. So Johnny's is the original. Used to ride my bike there.
Right, nice.
Right, and stealing change from my mom's purse. That whole thing.
I did that too.
Right,
and I've never admitted that.
Yeah,
ever.
I did.
Yeah,
I have.
I did. Wow.
And so that whole thing, and then they were my favorite growing up. And then Holy Chuck.
Could you get tomatoes? What was the thing? You couldn't get
Couldn't get lettuce.
Oh, you couldn't get lettuce.
Ask Tim. Tim will tell you.
Yeah. He has told me.
Yeah, couldn't get lettuce.
And Tim does a great impression of the guy that runs the burger joint.
Yep. And now my favorite spot is Holy Chuck. And there are a lot of great spots in Toronto now, by the way, I should say. But Holy Chuck Burgers, for me, it's the best burger. I travel. It's the best burger I've had in the world.
What? Really?
In the world.
That's unbelievable. Okay, what other burger joints do you rep in Toronto? And then we can go. You can even go to the cities you've played in. I mean, you played in the New York metropolitan area for 6 or 8 years total.
You got it. Yeah.
Around there. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that. I mean, I know New York's known for its pizza, but that's the world city. So every friggin' thing is there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what else? What other burger joints are you repping for in the city? I know I didn't prep you for this thing. We just talk.
No, that's what we do. We talk. We get paid to talk.
This is true.
Right?
You get paid more than I do. But
whatever. Okay, the Burger Priest is pretty good. Right? It's pretty good. There's a place down on Queen, just south of, or just north, rather, of Spadina. What's that spot? It's a pretty good spot, too.
Queen and Spadina. Okay, on that corner, there's the McDonald's. There's like an A&W across the thing.
Yeah,
just north?
Yeah, just north of there.
Like towards Chinatown? On the right. Okay, so on the east side.
Yeah, so if you're going
there's like the Dark Horse Cafe.
Yeah.
There's that new boutique hotel. What is up there? Man, I'm trying.
They had a pretty good burger, though.
But at Spadina and Dundas, that's like my undercover Dairy Queen spot. Sometimes when I'm fiending for Dairy Queen, like
that's
nobody goes to that one Dairy Queen. And I always hit that Dairy Queen
I know the one you're talking
for
about.
a Score Blizzard.
Yep.
My favorite. I like to rep. Okay, so
Who do you rep?
I rep Big Smoke Burger. Used to be.
Okay.
There was one on King Street West.
That was good.
And so I rep that.
That was good.
And I rep Apache Burger.
Apache,
you talk about Johnny's
Apache,
as a staple of Toronto, like
course.
Old school.
Yes.
So Johnny's Burgers reps in the eastern part of our city, and in the west, Apache Burger is like its rival for a generational mom and pop
This is true.
burger joint.
This is true.
Apache.
Yep.
I recently had a a burger at Earl's, and I know Earl's is a big restaurant chain across the country, but I had the Cab burger, which was amazing.
Go figure.
I did, yeah. I saw the menu. I was in Regina for the Grey Cup. I was like, you know what? Look, since it's called the Cab burger, and I don't think I get any points on it, you people at Earl's, you're going to hear from my attorney.
Better talk to your agent.
Dave Goldstein. You're going to hear from my dude about the Cab burger, but it was delicious. But I want to take it back to my original burger spot. When I was 10 years old, I had my first job was a paper route for the Toronto Sun. I used to deliver the Toronto Sun on Sundays.
On your bike or no?
No,
depending on the weather.
I walked in the neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay.
I did it for about 6 months.
That's hard work, by the way.
Yeah, because it was hard to wake up at 5:30 when you're a kid.
No doubt.
Even though you're excited to wake up just to watch cartoons.
Of course.
For like 4 hours, and then like wrestling.
Thundercats, He-Man.
Yeah,
of course.
So it was every Sunday. I had about 80 houses on my route. I had this, this like pouch, this satchel, big tan-colored canvas
the canvas one. I know it.
Yeah. And that's how I made my money, my first part-time job.
So you're on the hustle from early. I respect that.
Thank you. Caribbean parents, they're just you need to work right away.
Yeah.
As soon as you can get dude, I had my SIN card for Americans. That's like your social security number.
Right.
Here it's a social insurance number at 10. My mom was like, go get your SIN card.
Oh, yeah.
And, it starts with 498. Like, that's how every year, it increases. So I'm sure it's, 520 something now or whatever it is. So my first ever girlfriend, her name was Denise Salmon.
Oh, nice.
So on
the last name.
With my part-time, and we went to a burger place. With my part-time job money, we went to Licks. And
Licks was nice back in the day.
Licks was
Licks was nice back. The home burger.
And French fries.
The home burger back in the day was nice.
On Queen Street East in the beaches. I lived just around the beaches.
Yep.
And that's where we went. And that's my first. Do you remember your first date, Kev?
Wow.
Like, was it like to the movies? Was it mini golf? Was it just simply going to Jumbo Video and renting a movie?
Yeah, going to Jumbo
renting Jurassic Park or something. Maybe not Jurassic Park. Maybe earlier than that. Maybe renting what would it have been?
My day?
Yeah.
What, Conan?
Conan? You're not that old. You can't watch that.
Hold on. But
you can't watch it as a date movie.
When did you say your first? You mentioned your first, your SIN number started with 498?
498, yeah.
I'm 495.
Okay.
So I predate you a little bit.
Yeah, you do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I literally got it across the 401 here from the studio at the government building here at the Scarborough Town Center. Took the McCown 129 bus.
Right, yeah, I know.
There to get it.
I was on it today.
There you go. There you go.
What was your first date, dude?
Man, I can't even remember my first date now. Jeez.
Do you remember the first time you went to the movies with a girl?
Yeah, it would have been Yorkdale.
Did you see like Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Rocky 4.
Rocky 4?
Rocky 4.
You took a girl to Rocky 4?
Rocky 4. Drago. Drago was a killer in that movie.
Drago killed Apollo Creed.
He did.
And Sylvester Stallone it's my friend Dave Del Giudice's favorite movie. And I don't think I've seen the whole movie.
Rocky 4 was nice.
Like 91.
Yeah. No, that's when I went to go see it. Took the bus to go there too.
No, that movie came out in like 88 or something, or 87.
The TTC I took to go see that at Yorkdale from Scarborough.
Wow, that's
a hike.
That is a hike because my first ever movie, I went again with Denise Salmon. Yeah. It was a double date. My friend Ty Williamson and his girlfriend Sasha. We went to see Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh wow!
At Warden Woods.
But at least what do you know about Warden Woods?
Dude, that's where we went.
What do you know about Warden Woods? They used to have a good theater there.
Well, it's not. Yeah. It's probably not the theater in your own home where we watch Super Bowls.
No.
It's probably not even
whatever.
That.
No, but I Warden Woods and good patties at the Warden Station too. By the way, good beef patties there.
So that was
How come we don't have any air conditioning in here?
What do you? No. Listen, there's a guy right now on the treadmill, or a girl in Pittsburgh working out. She's like, this is you can't complain about friggin' air conditioning when some dude is working out or some, So your dude, Henrik Lundqvist,
yes,
is a very rich man.
He was already rich.
He was okay, but he's even more rich.
Yeah, he's even richer.
And the similarities between, not just because you guys play the similar position and you played in the similar city. Were you guys there at the same time in New York?
Yeah, we played together.
For how long? For
2 years.
Really?
I was his veteran mentor.
Oh.
You like that? Mentor.
Yeah. So did you mentor him on his style game? Because he is the style icon for the game of hockey, and you are certainly the style icon for broadcasters in this country. I'm going to give that to you. It's you and then Donovan Bennett.
Thank you.
Actually, and then after that, I'd say T-Rex, Tyrone Edwards, who does movie night on E. He's a very stylish dude too. One of Drake's dudes.
Thank you. Well, let me say this: when he first came to us in the Rangers, right, his rookie year, he was rocking these slim fit suits because he's Swedish, right? So he's rocking these Euro slim cut suits, skinny ties, and guys are like, "What's Rod Stewart?" No, you look like Rod Stewart.
Amazing.
What are you wearing? You've got the big hair, you've got the skinny ties, classic skinny suits, like you're a 60s, 70s throwback.
What year is that? Like 06 or 07?
This is 05.
Oh, okay.
05, 06.
So this is the first year back from the lockout.
Yeah, first year. So guys are chirping him, and I thought his style was nice. Like I'm like, wow, I like the way he rolls. Now I'm not the only guy. Now guys aren't busting my chops, right?
Yeah, but were
you know what I
wearing
mean?
Slim
No. But I mean
suits?
just in terms of a guy that got it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Spend time on his hair, bring his little satchel, his Merce, not his man purse, his Merce. Bring his Merce to the rink. He's got his cologne. He's got his stuff. He's got his body wash. So guys weren't just chirping me the whole time on that. But anyway, no, he was ahead of the curve in terms of style because naturally that's how they were dressing in Europe at that time, right? So he's from Sweden. People are dressing like that. I'm sure they were doing Italy, of course, Barcelona and Spain, just different places. They were so far ahead of the curve. And it's funny that it took probably about 3 years until more people here started getting into slim fit suits and slim fit pants and that kind of thing. So he was way ahead of the style curve when he first came over.
So he was dressing like James Bond before Daniel Craig started dressing. Before he became James Bond.
Exactly.
Because those are the kind of cut suits that Daniel Craig wears.
Absolutely.
Now when you
clean.
Clean. When you play in New York and there's a certain amount of visibility you have because you're an athlete in that city. Mm-hmm. How important is your image when you play in the Big Apple? Like your image as far as not just what you do, on the ice, but like off the ice, where the fans experience you, where the corporate partners experience you, where, the Wall Street types, when you go to charity events, those sort of things.
You just nailed it because you're getting a unique chance in New York to see all of those people. And they see you in your element, but you're wearing a Ranger uniform or you're wearing a Knicks or whatever it is uniform, a Yankee uniform. And while all the New York area uniforms are tight, and I love all of them, ultimately...
Even the Mets?
Even the Mets. On a classic level. And the orange, you know what I mean? On a classic level. And the orange just gives a little twist.
Shout out to the 1969, the Miracle Mets.
Shout out to Mookie Wilson. Never mind, guys.
Right, sorry, the
to
86
Mookie Wilson,
Mets.
Yeah.
Gary Carter.
And God bless Gary Carter,
Darryl
right.
Strawberry.
Absolutely, the straw on those guys, right?
Doc
Hojo,
Gooden.
Doc, unbelievable. But really, I mean...
Hojo, right. I forgot about Howard Johnson. Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. But the interesting thing about that, right, is they get to see you in your element, but when they get to see you outside of your sporting element or place of work, or for those athletes, I should say, then they get to experience you in a different way. And because there's so many people in New York, and because New York is the Mecca, you may only have a split second to make that impression. And people are just, okay, I see you. Okay, cool. Oh, all right. Well, you're well put together. You're dressed well. Or you smell good. Or you're well presented. Or whatever it may be. Because they're seeing literally how many hundreds of thousands of people a day, especially if you commute in New York, right?
Yeah.
You're taking the train. You're taking whatever. Even if you take a car service, you go out to lunch. Whatever part of the city you work in or you live in, you're just swamped by people. So how do you kind of distinguish yourself on it? And also, as an athlete, you want people to take you seriously if, in fact, you're serious. And you never know what opportunities are out there. So you could say, okay, I get out of this taxi. Thank you. You could say, okay, I get out of this taxi, right? And I'm getting into the Garden. Well, you don't know if the head of marketing for Chanel is going to be out there. You don't know if the head of marketing for Calvin Klein. We play a game. When I play in New York, for example, and after a game, you come out and somebody's waiting to have something signed. Who knows? That could be the CEO of Citigroup's son or daughter. You don't necessarily know.
Right.
And then as you talked about it, charity events, you never know who you're going to meet. Hospital visits, I mean, other team initiatives that New York Rangers or whatever team has around the city, you're always interacting with people, and it's such a fascinating place to meet people. Who knows? It could be somebody from Vodafone over in the UK, let's say, right? Or Virgin Mobile.
Right.
Just because it is the Mecca. So you never know who you're going to run into. You always got to represent.
You have great brand recognition.
Well, thanks,
Vodafone.
Man.
Like my guy went international with it. Like Vodafone is the biggest carrier in the UK and probably maybe even Europe.
Right.
Vodafone, nice work, dude.
Man, well,
It's because of the announcement of the World Cup stuff. You saw some soccer stuff, and I think Vodafone. I can't remember what team's kit Vodafone is on the front of. I feel like Man U used to have Vodafone.
Man U had it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
For a bit before. I don't know what it is now. So okay, a lot of athletes are competitive. Obviously, in their field of play, but off the ice as well, whether it's ping pong, whether it's who has the nicest whip, whether who has the baddest chick. Okay, so now...
Whether it's all the above and more.
And more. Okay, so then it's style game. So you're really only competing against yourself and Henrik. Was there ever... And plus you guys are both goalies.
Right.
So was there ever like an unwritten, like you'd see him with a suit, be like, okay. Like maybe he adds a pocket square.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's got some cufflinks.
For
Maybe
sure.
you have cufflinks, or you have some... Maybe you were the first one to come with wingtip shoes or something. Was there like a unspoken, or was there a verbal thing like, oh... I see that piece that you added. Maybe it's the vest now to make for the 3-piece suit. Was there ever that between you and Henrik?
Absolutely. It was
really?
Yeah, it was the spoken and the unspoken.
Okay.
And to speak about the unspoken, the pocket square, right? Because he started rocking a pocket square and nobody here was wearing them anymore. I mean, you'd find, an older gentleman in the mall that was kind of creeping. You know what I mean? Like an older grandfather in the mall who had a pocket watch, right? With a chain, and he'd just pull it out and he'd see two girls walk by and rubberneck the whole time, pretend he's looking at the pocket watch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe from that generation, you'd see the odd person wear a pocket square, but nobody was wearing them. And Henrik started rocking them again, and I was like, whoa, okay, I'm going to pick up on that. So what was crazy, and the reason why I referenced that is what was crazy when I started broadcasting, I started wearing pocket squares, and the only person that was rocking pocket squares in sports broadcasting that comes to mind at that time was Don Cherry, Grapes.
Oh, really?
On Hockey Night in Canada. That's it. So then I started rocking them 5 years ago now. I started rocking them, and then next thing you know, they kind of,
Did you win that contest on CBC for the most stylish? Was it last year?
Yeah, we did.
Like, what was the margin of victory?
I don't know. I don't know what the tally.
I feel like it was 30 or 40%.
No,
like I voted. I voted.
Did
I voted for you.
No, you don't have to tell me who you voted for.
Well, dude, you're okay. PJ, I met him once. Nice guy. He does some okay. He's got his style game is appropriate. Your style game is just nicer. And shout out to Marlon Durant.
No, I was just gonna say.
Shout out to Marlon Durant.
Shout out to Marlon.
Who's one of the few bespokes.
Yes.
In Toronto, very, very stylish dude. Every time I see him, I'm just like
clean, huh?
Very
always.
much so.
Yeah.
Fresh.
Always on point.
And I always tell him like, I hate you with love. I'm such
that's better than hate. Hey, that's good though, because you could hate him with hate.
Yeah, no, but
right?
I hate him with love.
Yeah.
Because
I respect that.
sometimes I hate you with love.
Well,
sometimes, not often. Sometimes, just because you're way more articulate and smarter than me.
You're a fool.
In so many different ways. Okay, so by virtue of playing, and normally I save this question to the end of the podcast, but
we've got time.
Since we're already in New York, maybe this is the person you met in New York. Maybe you didn't meet this person in New York, but by virtue of your career and where you played, who was the most famous person that you met?
Wow, man, there are a few of them. Spike Lee, starting off with Spike, even though he's a huge Knicks fan. He brought his son to a couple of our Ranger games
cool.
Had one of my jerseys. He came in the locker room. So that was really cool, especially growing up watching Do the Right Thing and being a big Jordan head and, their whole connection, Mars Blackman, whatever. So that was cool. The Queen of Sweden, because she was there to see Henrik.
Actually?
Oh, yeah.
That dude is that big of a deal?
What?
Look, I know that. Okay, listen. I know they call him King Henrik, and they had, King James was anointed King James before he became a champion, and Henrik isn't there yet. So, and I know the name. Like, okay, I know the name. It's historical, King, but actually, the Queen of. I didn't even know they had a monarchy in Sweden.
The Queen of Sweden.
I don't know anything about Sweden. I just know that Zetterberg's wife is pretty dope. And it was an interesting choice of wedding photos. They look like 20s people in jail, prisoners.
Let me think of who else. Victoria Silverstedt.
Who's that?
You guys can Google that.
Victoria Silverstedt?
She was there to see Henrik. I don't want to get Henrik in trouble, but
yeah, but doesn't mean he
I'm just, you know what I mean. I'm just saying. Oh, you're Googling. Let's see who else. There were so many people that we met, man. Unique. Phil Jackson, Coach Jackson. Was great to meet him. One of the all-time sport icons. You can't even talk right now because you got Google
I'm looking at Victoria Silverstedt. She kind of looks like.
That's funny.
She kind of looks like. Oh man, this is going to be a dated reference. Do you remember Vendela?
Yeah, I remember Vendela.
Vendela was on the cover of
that's a good call, actually. That's a good call.
In like my high school days.
Yeah. No, that's a good call.
I feel like it was 92 or something.
Dig into the crates.
93.
I like that. Yeah.
She's pretty hot.
Yeah,
so
man.
She came to see him.
Yeah, we had,
she was married to Chris Raggy?
We had John McEnroe, regular. We had a lot of them, right? Dennis Leary. Pat Sajak. You could name it. Like pretty much every game somebody was there. And typically if we won, then they'd come in the locker room because they wanted to meet Henrik or they wanted to meet Yager or that Mess was there. They wanted to meet Mess or whatever the case may be. Or when we go, exactly. Or when we go up to our green room, which is our family and friends room there in the garden, there were always some interesting people in there.
Okay, tell me about
very, very interesting people in there.
Tell me about the golf tournament you went to in Carolina.
The Michael Jordan Celebrity Golf Classic. Man, oh man. So I played in this golf tournament twice.
How did you get invited to Michael Jordan's golf tournament?
His guy, Fred Whitfield, who became a really good friend. I met him when I played in the minors, in the HL in Greensboro. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Fred's a Greensboro guy, and obviously the Carolina connection. He's from Greensboro, and him and Mike had been friends for years. And
what does Fred Whitfield do for a living?
Well, Fred had his own law firm in Greensboro.
Oh, okay.
Very successful. And I think it was Whitfield, Blackman, and Morse, if I'm not mistaken, was the name of the law firm. And he ended up becoming the global director of business for Nike, basketball, Nike basketball.
Okay.
And then he worked for the Wizards when Mike was there. He's a capologist. And then now he's the president of business operations for the Bobcats.
Is that like in baseball, like one of these advanced... advanced
sabermetric guy
type of dude?
Similar, but with all of the data, but as it pertains to how they compensate players.
Okay.
Right. So salary cap implications. This guy's on long-term disability. This guy's on whatever, managing the cap, all that stuff. So anyway, I met Fred in Greensboro my first couple of years in the minors, and I talked to him, and I'm like, yeah, I'd love to meet Michael. And this young goalie who's from Toronto, this young brother, like he wants to meet Michael Jordan. He doesn't even play hockey. He doesn't even play. He doesn't even play ball, right? He's not even playing in the NHL either. He's in the minors. But anyway, as time would have it, he really stood by his word. And I met him. I played in a couple of his golf tournaments, and I've never seen. I went to the Air Jordan 20th anniversary party during our lockout in 2004 in Denver. Because I went to NBA All-Star Weekend.
Oh, that's right.
He and I went. Tony Bradshaw and I went.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I can tell you, for the listeners out there, I've never, ever seen anybody that has it like him, that has that impact. And I got to tell you, the closest person I've seen to him is the president, Barack Obama, President of the United States, in terms of aura. I would say that Derek Jeter's up there as well. Mark Messier's up there.
Messi's not on the like.
Oh, Messi's on. I'm talking in New York. Like within New York, Mess is like hockey. He's sports god, right? In the New York area, he promised the Stanley Cup.
I remember
he delivered a Stanley Cup
the
to New York, an original six franchise.
Yeah. On
home ice, Game 7. For the New York Rangers. It's iconic, right?
Yes, I remember in the conference finals, he came over and then they beat Vancouver, my team at the time.
Right. So
Shout out to Pavel Bure.
Yeah, absolutely. So then...
Urke Lume.
Nice. Kirk McLean.
Kirk, yes.
Right?
Right, because you rep the goalie.
Yeah, and he's a North York man. So when I think about it, nobody's ever had that. To me, I've never seen anybody have that impact. He's a magnet. And I'm going to tell you a story. So
I love stories.
We're at the party, and it's Michael, Mario Lemieux, Brett Hull, Ray Allen, Alonzo Mourning, okay?
At this golf tournament?
At the tournament, but at this place called Mesh Sports Bar in Greenville, North Carolina.
Wow, okay. What a lineup.
Right, and tons of other guys. And me. I'm the throw-in. I'm the vegetable dip on this buffet. You know what I mean? Yeah. So... I remember this guy coming up to Michael. This man came up to Michael. I was doing the impersonation the other day. Michael, Michael, my wife loves you. Can she just kiss you? Can she kiss you, Michael? Guy, I swear, I couldn't believe it. And Michael had his security guy, George, who always travels with him. So George was around him. And as I said, it was him, Mario, and these guys. They were standing at the bar. Us other schleps were kind of on the other side of the bar. You know, we were the C squad, right? Of course. And even though we're playing in the event. But yeah, Michael, my wife loves you. Can she kiss you? I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Did he just laugh, or did
No, he was. I mean, he's used to all that. That's how many times does that happen every day?
Right.
Anywhere in the world, Morocco, Tel Aviv, Moscow, North Carolina,
Rio,
doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All day, every single day of his life. It's nuts. But I've never seen anybody have that impact. I remember we were doing the draw for the pairings, right? Who, which sports or whatever TV celebrities playing and which foursome and that sort of thing. And we were all in this ballroom in the Grand Over Resort in Greensboro, North Carolina. We're all in the ballroom. And Sterling Sharp, Dan Marino, you start going down the list, right, of all these guys. Mario, Brett Hull, all these guys. Everybody's in there and talking and food and everything. And all of a sudden, I just felt like the heat got turned up. And I sweat easily, and I felt like the heat got turned up. And you hear everybody go, oh. Look over my right shoulder, who starts walking through the door? It's him. I could feel him being there.
Wow.
Before he literally walked in the room. It's that powerful. And you've gotten to meet him. You've done interviews with him. You've done some nice pieces. So
thank you.
You're welcome. So you know what it's like. You've been around him to see it and experience it yourself.
The first time I met Michael Jordan, it was at a Mike Weir was having a celebrity tournament here in 2009, and Steve Nash canceled the week before, and then Mike Weir reached out to Michael Jordan to invite him to the tournament, and he accepted. And when I went to ambush Michael, which I did, funny. And then I got the interview, I felt the crush of the crowd before seeing Michael Jordan. So 1,000 people came over this little hill onto hole number 1, and then Michael appeared. I was like, wow, that's Michael Jordan. I just all kinds of reverence
Crazy.
To MJ. Yeah.
He played in a golf tournament here. It was early, and I think I was still in junior, actually. He was out in Mississauga years ago. This is probably 17, 18 years ago. I'll never forget it. So my buddy and I heard he was here. We heard it on the radio, drove out, walked the whole 18 holes with him, okay? But after the 9th hole, at the turnaround, after the 9th hole, Nike had a court set up, right? Because they sponsored this tournament. Nike had a court set up, a portable court. He took off his golf spikes, and he got a ball, and he had about 5 straight threes that he drained left-handed. Now, he's a righty.
Yeah.
Lefty, pure, swish, 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 from 3, pure. So anyhow, he was trying to recruit somebody to come on the court to play horse with him, right? So I played high school ball at the time. I'm going to try to get out there. But I got to be honest.
At Bethune?
At Bethune. We won the Scarboroughs. We won the cities, by the way. But I was kind of anyhow, I was pushing my boy who was there with me, Sean, nicknamed Lighter. So we're putting, Lighter, get out there, because he was a way better shooter than I was. Get out there. He was nervous. So he ends up picking the girl that was literally standing right beside our boy Lighter. And she couldn't even hold a basketball, let alone shoot one. So that was the first time I met him. But then being at the Air Jordan 20th anniversary party, as I mentioned earlier, during All-Star Weekend in Denver, I mean, any actor, any entertainer coming up and basically bowing to him, right? Dr. J, J
he's royalty.
Posted up,
he's sports royalty.
Posted up in the corner. Dr. J just posted up in the corner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people just coming up to him, you name it. All of them that were there for NBA All-Star Weekend, just coming and kissing the rings, right? It was amazing. Amazing to see.
Now, when you, Michael Jordan is synonymous with being, obviously with excellence in his championships, but also being an alpha.
Oh, 100%.
He's the alpha of the alpha, and currently, Kobe Bryant's who walks in stride with Michael Jordan. He's an alpha.
Yes.
I mean, you can look around the different sports to see your alpha males, but not all. But I feel like in the public perception, all pro athletes are alphas, but that's not really the case, is it?
All pro athletes are alphas relative to the majority of the population. But then by the time you get into that very rarefied air of professional sports, be it football, soccer, be it football as we know it here in North America, be it baseball, be it whatever. No, then there's like other levels to alpha.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
'Cause you heard
there's Mark Messier alpha. There's Jonathan Toews for our young listeners in Chicago. There's Jonathan Toews alpha, which is a different level.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
For now. It's amazing. There's Sidney Crosby alpha. As you mentioned, Kobe. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
He will get at you. He's going to let you know.
There's Tom Brady.
In no uncertain terms, he's going to let you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's Tom Brady alpha.
You know, and
right?
then,
So we can start going around the horn in different sports. But yeah. So not every athlete relative to that rarefied pro sports environment is an alpha within that. No.
I know that on every team, there's the star of the team, or there are the stars, and then there's like the leader of the team, the guy who leads the team in the off-field or off-ice activities, whether it's the restaurants, whether it's the late night things, or it's just the guy who plans the activity. The dude. Who's
He's the dude.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this before, but like I've experienced it a couple of times, and I know, I guess they're known as either like the clubhouse guy to the public, or the glue guy, if
Absolutely.
you will. So I know on LA it's Jared Stoll.
Yeah, Stolle. Yeah.
100%. Who I met at your golf tournament. Actually, maybe we should just segue to your golf tournament real quick. So this is how it changed my life. So I got to go in 2005, and at the golf tournament, Stanley Cup champions Brad Richards and Vincent LeCavalier were there.
Yep, correct. I was texting with Richie this morning.
Right. And then a year later, it was Stanley Cup finalists Jared Stoll and Rafi Torres were there.
Correct.
Okay. Then the year after, 2007, Stanley Cup finalists Ray Emery and Jason Spezza. Like you always had like the best dudes. At your hockey players at your golf tournament. But this is how it changed my life. Not just being in the company of these athletes and interviewing them and having conversations like off the record with them. It was, and D and I in 2006. This is when we say we crossed the line, where these athletes didn't see us as media guys; they just saw us as guys.
That's right.
And it was a very important moment for us because once we earned the trust, it was earning the trust of the athletes. We're like, oh, okay, this is a different experience. And like, we now know what it's worth.
You just mentioned a key word there, right? It's the trust. And I'm going to tell you, as a former player and played in the league a long time, there's a lot of different media people that you interact with that are good at their job, that are great at their job. And that's maybe the nature of the interaction. But there's always a couple people that you just have that relationship with and you trust them.
Yeah.
And that's who you're speaking to on the reel. And you don't even have to preface it by on the record, off the record, because you know that they have your back. They're still going to maintain their journalistic integrity. Don't get me wrong. They're still going to do their job. But you know that they'll never put you in a bad spot. And that goes a long way. I can tell you, as a former player, that goes a long, long way. When you know that they're going to be...
Who was your guy that you either...
There are a few, but one that I'll mention right now is for the people, especially in New Jersey and New York, is Chico Resch, old school goalie Chico Resch. He does the Devils games on MSG. He does a color for the Devils. Old school NHL goalie, won Stanley Cups with the Islanders with Billy Smith.
Oh, nice. I just saw that documentary the other day, the 30 for 30.
The 30 for 30. With that was crazy on Spano.
Big Shot, I think it was called.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Done by Kevin Connolly, formerly of Entourage.
So the thing for me is him specifically, Chico, and he's been a great mentor since I've come into this business, but he was always open-minded, objective, took the time to listen. And although he played a long time, was very successful and won Stanley Cups.
Is it because he was a former athlete? That's why, because there's like that. Yes, you guys are a fraternity, so there's like sort of a trust there.
Yes and no, but some guys don't really value that trust that are now in this side of the business. Some guys don't work to continue to cultivate it because they maybe take it for granted, right? Because, I'll speak from my own perspective. I'm on the phone with guys on all 30 teams, right? And there are a lot of guys that I played with that are still in the league as players. Some of those guys are now coaches, assistant coaches, various positions of management, agents, you name it. But the reality of it is we don't get any younger. So that's fine if I played with John Madden now, let's say, who's assistant coach with the Florida Panthers now.
Yeah, you guys play together in New Jersey.
We play together in Jersey, but unless I can relate to Jonathan Bernier or Nazem Kadri, these guys are 23, 24. You also have to cultivate new relationships as well along the way, right? So it's very, very important because the league doesn't wait on you, and it doesn't wait on anybody.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys that you may have played with, okay, it's cool if you see them in the locker room. Say yesterday, for example, Dallas is here playing Toronto Maple Leafs, Dallas Stars. So I played with Ray Whitney. He's 40. I played with him. That
guy's still playing, huh?
Unbelievable, right?
Wow.
The reason why they call him the Wizard. So the Wizard, many reasons. So anyway.
I want to hear the other reasons. That's what the listeners are interested in.
So the Wizard, right? So he's still playing, and Eric Cole, who I played with in Carolina, he's still playing.
Yeah.
But then...
Didn't that guy break his neck?
He did. It's crazy, right?
And he's still playing?
Still playing.
Wow.
So think about that. Like, okay, but how do I relate to Cody Eakin or Jamie Benn, right? Or Tyler Seguin? All these guys, and Seguin I've had a relationship with in terms of getting to know him. He's a Toronto guy, right? But you have to work. He is a dude.
Yeah. He was on the podcast like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
We're just talking about Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Right.
He lives a good life.
He does. He does. He does it right.
21.
He does it right. So this is the thing, though, right? So you get to realize that players, and just like people, we're going to connect with people we feel like we can trust, right? Mm-hmm. And that have your back. And that was a great point that you made about UND recognizing that, because I'm telling you, it goes a long way. You will be able to have access that other people won't. I have access that other people will never have, not just because I played, but again, because you work on that and you continue cultivating that, right? And in your case, even more so, because you and D didn't play.
No,
so it says even more. No.
We're just a couple of jokers.
No, but I'm saying for guys to be able to come to you and feel like, okay, hey, you know what? I'm cool to text you. I'm cool to call you. I'm cool to have you in my helicopter, my helicopter.
I just saw that dude yesterday.
I know. I've been following.
I just saw him yesterday.
I know. You know what I'm saying? Like, for you to be...
And he brought that up.
For you to be in his copter, and you know how cold he is. If you don't know him, he's iceberg. True?
Yeah, well,
True?
I only know my own
experience. Hold on, but prior...
to me,
but to people that don't know him, that don't know the Mamba, people that don't know him, maybe they see him, hello, okay, cool, nice to see you, hey, take care, whatever, but he's not openly open to people that he doesn't know.
I don't think,
right?
When I came around, no. Maybe now, because he sort of sees the lights dimming, sort
Correct.
of, and like he's, signed a 2-year extension with LA,
right.
$48 million or whatever it is, and
right.
And Kobe over the last 2 years has just changed. Like he doesn't give an F.
Right.
Like he's in that F the word, like I don't care mode,
right.
because he's, he has his legacy and he has
Correct.
his 5 rings and he has his MVP and he doesn't, his image now, he's not as image conscious, or
That's
maybe
right.
his image now has changed.
No, you said it. I like where you're going. Stay with that.
So it's like, yeah, so he can just say whatever. He swears a little bit more in interviews
Correct.
now, and like the rules are a little bit different because he just reached that point of his career. He's like, all right, well, whatever. I don't care now. Like,
yep.
what are you
gonna do to me?
Yeah, what are you gonna do to me? Exactly. So, okay, a couple things. One, okay, I'll tell this Kobe story later. I'll put a pin in it. But one is, when you find out information, Kev, our jobs are different. My job is to entertain.
Right.
Your job is to inform. So, so when you find out stuff, like there are going to be things where you find out, like a dressing room has a problem. This person has a problem with this person, and if you find out that information, you're part of the fraternity of. I had this.
Sure.
I had this conversation at your. Okay, I will tell this. I don't know if I should use the guy's name.
You don't have to.
So I had this conversation at your summer jam.
Yeah.
On my way to your party, I invited a hockey player.
Right.
Who plays in the NHL right now.
Right.
I'm not going to say his name.
Right.
And I said, yo, do you want to come to this party, this house party that Kevin's has? He goes, I actually do want to come to it, but I don't know who from the NHL is going to be there. And I don't want anybody to say anything because
about
I'm
me.
there.
Right.
And I said, oh, that kind of sucks. I don't know.
He's conflicted.
Yeah. And I said, well,
yeah.
I'm like, well, it's like Kevin's house. So it's like, it's Kevin. And he goes, I know that, but I don't know who else is going to be there. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So then later I had a conversation with Mike Johnson and Jamie McLennan about and I think you were hosting, so I don't know if you were in this conversation, but I was like, because you are part of the fraternity of former athletes, you have to, in a way, you have to protect the shield, but you also have to inform the public. But how do you walk the line?
Great question.
Because it is trust.
Yeah.
You have a journalistic integrity to uphold, but then you are an athlete before the job. And I know your life you're in the second career because you're in the media, but like, how do you walk the line? Like, what do you decide? Okay, this I can tell, but this has to stay in the house, so to speak.
Right. So for me, I always look at it from an athlete's point of view, and I think of it as my parents and my sister and my wife or family and friends watching me play and watching a broadcast.
Okay.
What are they going to want to hear? What are they going to not want to hear? And try to skirt a line that's respectful, right? And always try to stay respectful because, I mean, if we really wanted to, we could have dirt on anybody.
Okay.
Athlete or not. CEO at Royal Bank, head of global markets at TD Bank, you name it, right? We could find dirt on anybody, but how do I do my new job in a way that's respectful so that, okay, how would my parents think if that came over on the broadcast?
About you.
Correct. You see what I'm saying? How would my parents think about that? How would they feel? And I mean, literally, when I leave this building, when we're off the air, or I leave the CBC building downtown when we get off Hockey Night in Canada, I'm on the phone with my parents almost every show.
Really?
Right? Because I'm close with my parents like that, right?
You really are.
So I'd be on the phone.
Shout out to Carl Weekes and Mama Weekes.
Right? So, and
Carl
they're
Weekes is a G.
Thank you. And they're calling. He's calling me while I'm on the air because sometimes, it doesn't, there's the lag in time, right? So he's calling, and then he leaves me a voicemail. I get out. He's like, I was calling you. I can't hear you. You won't call me back. I thought you were finished. And I'm like, Dad, I'll get on the call. I'm like, Dad, what's wrong with you? We were just rapping. Like, what's up? And this is literally like 1:25 a.m. So my point to you is this. Like, I always think about it from their standpoint. What would they want to hear? What would alarm them? What would embarrass them? And just try to be respectful of that as it pertains to players,
here's
right?
Here's an example.
Yeah.
A guy gets a DUI. You know that guy parties a lot.
Sure.
So then it's news because he gets a DUI. That's obviously newsworthy.
That's the news.
But you know about his character, or firsthand, a guy that plays with that dude, and like, man, this dude was going hard.
The story really is he got the DUI. That's the story.
Okay, but if someone says on a panel,
yes,
you're like, So this player X gets a DUI.
Sure.
And you say your things about it. But what do you know about this guy?
Well, what I know about this guy is this: he's a heck of a player in his role, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
He's a power
so you start
forward.
talking about his resume.
He's a power forward. He's whatever. He made an error in judgment. This is a mistake. Certainly, he'd want a do-over. I'd like to think that he's going to be accountable about it. Not only to his teammates and the organization, but the fans, right? I'm sure his family, his parents, whoever, his mom, his kids, whatever. It's a mistake. It's a mistake that he can't make, but it's not the mistake that only he will make. The unfortunate reality is we've seen this before. Unfortunately, we may see it again.
Probably,
and it's not something that's necessarily unique to him.
So you won't put the guy on blast, even though you know that dude is just an idiot.
Depends.
Depends on what?
I'll give you an example. So not from a DUI standpoint, but I could speak to this player because I've spoken about him on the air. Patrick Coletta is a player that plays for the Buffalo Sabres.
Okay.
And he's a Buffalo guy. Now he's out. He tore his ACL. He had been sent down to the minors in Rochester for their AHL team. He'd been in the league the last 6-7 years. He had 7, if I'm not mistaken, 7 suspensions or fine in the league.
For like dirty hits.
For dirty hits, dirty plays you shouldn't make, taking a guy's knee out, hitting a guy from behind, all that stuff. So at what point in time does common sense prevail now, right? So for me, there's only so many times I can, you understand what I mean? Like, I'm on Hockey Night in Canada, the most watched hockey show in the world, and I'm on the NHL Network, the league's channel itself. So there's only so many times you can go to bat for him. So after the 6th, 7th time, I can't really spin it anymore. At that point, it's like, Patrick Coletta, you have to make a decision here. If you want to be a part of the league and the league is cracking down on player safety, and Brendan Shanahan is going to suspend you for these types of plays, and you know that, why are you still hitting guys like that? You know what I mean? You're playing in your hometown team. You're playing in the league. You're a Buffalo Cat playing for the Sabres. What else do you want? Like, at some point in time, the league's not going to change for you. You have to tailor your game around the way in which it's being called and officiated, right? And based on the supplementary discipline. You choose not to do that. Now, at this point now, what else am I going to say? So now I got to be all the way real, right? But if it happened to him the first time, hey, maybe it was a bonehead play. Maybe it was a dumb play. He shouldn't have hit the guy there. He was in a vulnerable spot. Whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? But 7 times already, and then this happens, whatever it was, 6 weeks ago, can't really go to bat for him anymore.
Speaking of bonehead, I don't know if you heard this story. Ron Artest and Kenyon Martin got into a fight. Not a fight, a heated argument over pasta. Which pasta was better? Ron Artest was eating shell pasta, looks like a shell, and Kenyon Martin was eating, hold on, I wrote this down. He was
Linguine,
eating,
fettuccine,
no, he was eating
angel hair,
elbow pasta.
Capellini?
Elbow pasta looks like craft dinner. That kind of pasta.
Yeah.
And they got a heated argument over it, and like these guys are both not really the most stable dudes.
No, not the brightest wattage light bulbs.
No.
Either.
What's the dumbest argument you've seen or been a part of in your playing days? Because that's such a dumb thing for dudes to fight over. But they're just dudes, and I'm sure when we were 12 or 13 or 14, we had equally dumb arguments. But these are grown-ass men.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they are grown-ass men.
I was gonna say, yeah, when we're 12. I like Marino's Pizza on McAllen better than Mother's Deep Dish Pizza on Kennedy. Okay? Yeah, I understand that.
I was all the way as Super Nintendo versus my friend Henderson, who had a Sega Genesis.
Exactly.
Or my friend Chad, who had a Sega Genesis.
Okay,
too.
so you're 14, 15. You're not a combined age of 65, 70.
Yeah.
And these guys are NBA vets. They should be worrying about what's going on with the Knicks, first of all, especially both guys being veteran players.
Agreed.
But that's another story for another time.
So what's the dumbest argument that you've seen or you've been a part of?
I can't say the players, but I saw
say the
one.
Players. The statute of limitations is up, dude. You are no longer in the league. Neither are those guys.
They are.
Both of them?
Both of them.
Okay, what was the dumbest?
Arguing on our plane, on our New York Ranger plane, MSG-1 as we called it, ironically, which is the Rangers in the Knicks plane, but that's another story.
They shared the okay.
Yeah, right.
Wait, how did they played the
plane
same time?
share? No, it was plane share. And when there was a conflict in the schedule, then we would take the Knicks usually won out because they're 6'95", right? Because those guys are giraffes. You know what I mean?
One time
they're giraffes. You can just have them eating grass. Just
one time I heard in a clip Latrell Sprewell when talking about Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
He said, "What is that guy? 6'13"?" Honestly, that I still use that line. What is that guy? 6'13"? Anyway, so share the plane. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah,
but anyway, back to your story.
So anyway, we're on the plane and the one guy just got a Gallardo, Lamborghini Gallardo, if you want to be Italian, and then the other guy had. It was a Ferrari 456, I think it was. Anyway, whatever the Ferrari, 360, sorry, Modena. And they're arguing
this
over...
is way above my pay grade.
And they're arguing on the plane. We're flying to Washington, arguing on the plane over whose car's better, why it's better, what car's an all-weather car, because the Lamborghini has Audi transmission and it's an Audi build, so it has a Quattro, 4x4, right? Do you really want to be driving your Lamborghini from the practice rink 25 minutes outside New York City in the snow on the West Side Highway anyway? No.
Agreed.
Does Dude B really want to be driving the Ferrari 360 Modena arguing? No. You know what I mean? And we were just like, is this really happening? From New York to Washington, is this really, really happening?
Say their names.
I can't.
Say their names.
I can't.
Come on, dude.
I can't.
That's got to be...
One was a defenseman and one was a forward.
Okay. Who was the most sensitive teammate that you ever played with?
Oh, goodness. I played with a lot of them, boy. You'd be surprised. You got to manage a lot of emotional profiles, especially once you're...
You're the goalie, so you see everything on the ice. You see everything on the ice and everything in the room.
Guys, it's so funny. So many guys hate for so many things. Where'd you get those shoes? It's almost like girlish. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
dude,
where'd you get those shoes? Well, how much did that watch cost? I like that watch, Cabbie. How much did that watch cost? Oh, yeah? How much did you buy your house for? Oh, okay. We're in Westchester. Where are you? Oh, I got a brownstone upper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just trivial stuff.
So then who's okay?
Trivial. So to get to the question, There are a lot of guys, man, emotionally. You know who is still pretty sensitive? Is my man Henrik Lundqvist.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So he can't, so like if you have to, if you're going to criticize him or you're going to give him some kind of constructive criticism, you have to do it delicately?
Yeah, I mean, and he's grown a lot, man. He's a lot more mature now. Obviously, he was 23 when he came in, new in the league. And congrats to him on his new deal, by the way. Very deserving of the new deal. I remember when we played in New York, and it was his rookie year. And this guy, I'm telling you, if you don't know, you don't know, right? And you don't know till you know.
You know?
Cue the Biggie music.
Yes. You know very well who you are.
Exactly.
Juicy.
Right. So he didn't know, and he came in, and we lost a shootout. And he's yelling at guys, and he's going nuts. And, oh, you can't shoot on that guy, glove side.
Like
no,
actually yelling at the dude or in the room, just being loud about.
In the room, but there are only X amount of shooters that shot for our team.
Right, yeah. There's only like 4 or 5 guys.
So now you're, and we've got Yager who very seldom shot, and one of the best players in the history of the game.
Suddenly shot in the shootout scenario?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
And still doing it, right? So Yager, Michael Nylander, who was the center, who had a huge, so many guys, long story short. So he's yelling at him like, hey, man, you can't you can't say that. No, you couldn't. And like, Hank, you can't do that. Tomorrow you're going to be walking this red carpet at this Calvin Klein event. Then a couple days later, a box from Dior is going to show up, and you're getting a Dior suit and all these shoes free, courtesy of Christian Dior. Guys are going to get jealous. They're going to get envious, right? So it's that whole quarterback envy, and you're a very visible guy. You're now the star of the New York Rangers, young guy from Sweden, slim suit. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, was that more of you were taking into account the sensitivity of the other guys, or was it Henrik Lundqvist because...
Starting with Henrik.
Okay, because right? he could, he was like firing at all the other dudes. Correct. But could he receive, like when you had to, you guys are goaltenders and you are the veterans, so you know the game more than he does. And so there are ways that he can improve, just minor things that you would give him, little nuggets and stuff.
Exactly.
So would you have to measure the way that you say it to him?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, you have, and the thing is, it's like coaching, right? Like you recognize who has what personality, and as a teammate, you recognize who has what personality and how you relate to guys, right? And how you convey certain things. So, yeah, knowing how Hank was wired, yes, I had to couch it a certain way.
Speaking of wiring, I'll get you out of here on this story.
No worries.
And there's so much more. Like when I talk, much like my friend Donovan Bennett, and my friend, I mentioned him earlier, my boy Juice, Dave Del Giudice. When we talk, it's like, hey man, can you talk for 5 minutes on a text? And then it's a 95-minute conversation. And I know I could talk to you until next Thursday.
Yeah, me too.
Just one stream, one conversation going all over the universe. So speaking of wiring, and we mentioned earlier about alphas, and alpha dogs. So I was in Los Angeles on Wednesday for the launch of Kobe's new sneaker.
I saw that.
So it's the Kobe 9.
I like the new look. This is the best one he's had.
I like the 8. So this is the 9
these because this has a little Cam Newton-esque.
It's a high, yes, and somebody mentioned that. Nice one. Somebody mentioned that at the launch.
Yeah.
That Under Armour did this a year and a half ago with
true.
the high boot.
This is true.
So Kobe's got this new high top sneaker, and he said in the Q&A that when he was watching Manny Pacquiao box and watching his footwork and how he moved, that planted the seed in his head as far as design goes, like, oh, or performance. He's like, oh, okay, Manny Pacquiao's, he moves like the wind, and
right.
Okay, that's an idea. And then he brought that to the table to his designer Eric Arvar, I think his name is.
What about the stitches on the back?
Okay,
I'm a detail man.
He did mention the stitches.
Okay,
obviously,
good.
Everybody knows that he ruptured his Achilles.
Yeah.
And those stitches represent the stitches in his actual, in his foot. And that's part of his journey, he said. And he made sure that they were red so they stick out because, that it's, I don't know, it just pops like his friggin' Achilles popped
right.
last year. So I go to this thing, and I'm taking some photos, and I'm Instagramming everything, and I want to speak with Kobe. I didn't get time on the in the schedule to have an interview with him, but I just wanted to speak with him.
Mm-hmm.
So on the day, there's a break in the interview, so I go up to him. He's like, Cabster, and he always calls me Cabster, and I call him Bean. Yeah. I'm like, hey, Bean. He goes, Cabster, what are you doing here? You got over the border? He always uses that joke. I'm like, yeah, man, my papers are straight. Like,
exactly.
You put in a phone call for me in 2008. Everything's good. He's like, you good, man? I'm like, yeah, man. He goes, what are you doing here? I'm like, I came for this. I came to see the launch.
Right.
So he came to see the launch. And then I kind of look at him and he goes, and you came to pitch me some ideas. I'm like, yes, I did. I always pitch him 2 of my harebrained ideas. He goes, and he says, let me hear your harebrained ideas.
Yeah.
So one, he agreed to, I don't know if I should say, okay.
Save it.
Okay, the one
this is Kobe.
The one that
you
he
can't
said,
give this
okay, the one that he said no
property.
to, right. Oh, yeah, and if I do, okay, if someone does this later, it came from here. So the one that he said no to was, it's this real estate idea. And my man D came up with this, and I laughed, and I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So one of his houses are up for sale.
Right.
So I'm saying to Kobe, well, this is the idea. I go to one of your houses with some attaché cases and some big guys, like I'm going to buy your house.
Right. And I've got cash in the attachés.
Right, exactly.
They're attachés at this point.
They really are.
Yeah.
And one of them has cash. The other one has a computer, which is just with the transfer codes from my account in the Cayman Islands.
Love it.
Yeah. So we take a tour of your house. At the end, when I finish the tour, I go outside, and you show up in your car. And you're like, what are you doing in my house, Cab? Camera comes back on me. Hey, Kobe. Back on Kobe. He looks upset. Back to Cab. I'm starting to get a little scared. Back to Kobe. Now it's a wide shot. And Kobe is standing next to his car, but in Kobe's hands are 2 leashes. At the ends of those leashes are giant dogs. He's got these 2 big-ass dogs. And then the shot comes back to me. I'm petrified. Back to Kobe. He lets go of the leash. Nice. End of scene. End of skit.
I like it.
Okay? So I thought that was a funny idea.
I like that. That's a good look.
So as I'm pitching this idea to him, I don't even get to the punchline. Is man, no, it needs to be edgier, Cab. It needs to be bigger. It needs to be. He said edgier. It needs to be bigger. It needs to be bolder. I'm like, are you sure? And then somebody, right. One of his Nike people, like, hey, this is not your interview time. Blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, I'm just talking to him. So I'm like, okay. The next day, I'm like, okay, let me think. I was like, and then he said, go back to the drawing board, which he usually says when he rejects my ideas. I've pitched probably like 10 ideas, which I thought were great, that he's just rejected. The next day I go to Lakers practice, and then Kobe's shooting jumpers, huge media scrum, and they just want to find out when he's going to play. He didn't take the trip to Sacramento, who they're playing on the 6th. The rumor is he will most likely play against the Raptors on Sunday. What a nice entry point back into the game against the crappy Toronto Raptors.
Come on.
My guy might score 48 points on,
just because.
Yeah.
Welcome back, and just because.
24 for 30 shooting and whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So after he does his media, then Allison of the Lakers just grabs Kobe. He's like, hey, Kobe, Cabbie's here. And then goes, hey, Cabster. I'm like, Kobe, I don't think you understood the bit yesterday. So I re-pitch him the real estate idea. He goes, no, I don't want to do it. He goes, I don't want that weak-ass ish. He goes, give me some Dave Chappelle-ish. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, well, then how far can I go with it? Can we be in dune buggies and shooting paintball guns at each other and stuff exploding? He goes, just make it good. I'm like, well, how much time can I get with you, Kobe? He goes, if it's a good idea, I'll give you 30 minutes. I'm like, 30 minutes? He goes, 30 minutes. I'm like, anywhere in the world? Like, what if you're in the world? What if the idea we do it in Minneapolis or we do it in Salt Lake City? He goes, if it's a good idea, you get 30 minutes. And I just stand there dumbfounded. I'm like, all right. And he turns around and he walks away. And I'm like, I miss you. So that is now the challenge that, and my man D, I told my man D this yesterday, and my man D already came with a great idea. So between us, we're going to try to come up with like 8 or 10.
Think tank.
100%. We're like, like the writer's room at Saturday Night Live. But it's just the 2 of us. It's not like 20 dudes in a room.
Right.
But that's the new challenge, to come up with something for Kobe. And a lot of people reference the Kobe Bryant interviews that I've done in the past. Certainly, and he did actually mention the helicopter. Actually, when he said, come with something more bold, he goes, man, I gave you a ride in the helicopter, man. You got to come with something like that.
He's right, though.
I'm like, that's like a once in a lifetime.
That's a trump card right there.
I know. He can always throw that at me. I'm like, I don't know. Like, Coach, can we go to space? Can we freaking play a game of horse on the moon? You call what's the dude that owns Virgin Airlines?
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
Sir
You know
Richard
Richard Branson?
Sir Richard Branson.
Richard Branson.
United.
Let's make it happen. Kevin.
Yes.
This was awesome, man.
This was great.
This is awesome. Thank you for the candid conversation. And thank you. Oh, thank you for the I Have No 5-hole shirts. I got a nice little goodie bag here.
Thank you, man.
Which you guys can go to Weekes Media, WEEKES media.com. And I'm sure that there's a link to the store.
Link to our online store. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's been a lot of fun.
So what are you on Instagram? Because you're not Kevin Weekes on Instagram, right?
It's at Kev. K-E-V, my last name, Weekes, W-E-E-K-E-S.
Okay, at Kev Weekes on Instagram. On Twitter with the blue check mark, it's at Kevin Weekes.
You got it.
We have to. There's
We're exhaling now.
I know. There's a lot more conversation to be had, and hopefully we will have it very, very soon. I appreciate your time. And
my pleasure, man. Anytime. Keep up the great work, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Cabbie Presents, the podcast.